Hi there, Evan here with Crypto and Markets for Friday, March 22nd, 2019. Topic today, gonna be the yield curve. Now this morning, if you've been reading the financial media at all, in both Canada and the US by the way, the 3-month 10-year yield curve is now inverted, meaning a 3-month T-bill is now yielding more than a 10-year treasury. And again, that's in both Canada and the US. Now, historically, this has been the best leading indicator of all the yield curves for recessions. Myself, there's 5 that I follow, which is the 10s 30s, 2s 10s, 1s 2s, 3-month 10-year, 3-month 5-year. Those are the 5 that I follow. And if a majority of those invert, it's a good indicator that usually within the next 12 to 18 months will be again, according to the numbers, in a recession. Now usually we all know it hits well before that, but I digress. Now, if you've been on Twitter or been all over the media, you'll see a lot of people out there, even still, denying this fact. First thing, it happens every time. When the yield curve starts to flatten, everyone denies it. Oh, it's different this time. Oh, it's different this time. Well, guess what? It never usually is different this time. And when the inversions start, they all come around. Notice this happens every time. When it starts to flatten, when the economy starts slowing, they'll all deny it. And then they'll all get on board all at once. Okay? So they do the same thing every time. And really, with the yield curve, it's quite simple. Short end is inflation and expectations on central bank policy. The long end is about growth. So as growth is expanding, the long end goes up more than the short end, which is a steepening of the yield curve. The central bank sees this. Central bank sees growth in expectations, inflation expectations starting to go up, so they raise rates with it. And then when it starts going the other way like it is now, long end comes down a lot faster than the short end. And ultimately, as usual, when they're late to the game, they have to go ahead and cut rates because growth and inflation expectations have come down. But again, inversions, massive steepening, why do they always happen? It's because usually central banks are always late to the party. We all know that. So really, when you think about it, they're denying a fact that's been simple and proven over time. And you also can't forget as well too, I've said this in other videos also, the US Treasury market is a great indicator of global growth. And look what's happening globally. The same thing that's happening in Canada is actually happening worse in other countries. Australia, to name one particularly. But remember, all liquidity is global. Inflation is a global phenomenon. Growth is a global phenomenon. That's why I always say, follow that US Treasury market, because that's the best indicator of all that. And really, the US Treasury market has been flashing negative signals, at least as far as the yield curve goes, those spreads, really for the past year or so. In fact, you can make the argument, and I'm making this myself, I did yesterday on Twitter, that all these yield curve inversions are happening as we're going into a recession. Now what does that imply? That this recession is going to be a lot longer than previous ones we've had. Because that liquidity dam that's been with us since post the Great Financial Crisis, that dam has been breaking for about a year now. In fact, you want to make yourself a great comparison on this? I'll link down below the Better Dwelling article from this morning outlining new home price growth across Canada. Notice it on the charts they put out when price growth peaked. That was around the same time that M1 money supply growth peaked globally. You want any better indication that liquidity is global? Have a look at that. Because Australia, look at them for example. As far as household debt goes, they're in just as bad, if not a worse, credit bubble than Canada is. And their liquidity dam broke right around the same time. Now, of course, Australia is leveraged to China, so there's that element to it. And even another one, too. Because of the slowdown in the economy, the slowdown in liquidity, manufacturing PMIs have taken a hit globally. Not just from what's going on with global liquidity, but also what's going on with China, which is an impact we can't doubt. Look at transportation. Look at air freight numbers globally. They've been turning down. So again, all these things look to be happening at the same time as we've already experienced the slowdown. It tells you how much froth generally there was globally and how much unwind has to take place. So, as far as the yield curve goes, which is the main topic of this video, I'll go ahead and leave it with this. I continue to be a yield curve believer, and look what's happening right now. It's proving us right. All I'm going to say, smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and most importantly, follow me on Twitter. Have a good day, everybody.